I wanted to get your thoughts on, let's say that you're correct and Crawford does beat Spence. Crawford has always said that once he does beat Spence and becomes undisputed, his next fight is just going to move up and he's going to fight Jamel. Do you think that's a
Fight who?
Jamel Charlo, who's undisputed at 154? Do you
No,
think that's
well, again, Crawford knows better about that than I do because he knows what his abilities are. So I can't,
Well, of course you can. You've promoted him for years. You've seen a ton of great fighters. I know you've compared him to guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, guys like that. So just in your view, do you think he has the frame, the skills, the ability, the power to move up to 154 and actually beat Jamel?
I think it's a big step, but is it a step too far? I don't know. I mean, let him beat Spence first.
Gotcha. Fair enough. And also wanted to know, in terms of, I know you said that it's going to be kind of hard to get Triple G back into the ring in terms of like money-wise. Who do you kind of see him matching up with next if money wasn't, an option?
Well, either Janibek or Falcoa, the Brazilian guy that we promote. I mean, those fights are easy fights to make, and they're winnable fights for Triple G, but they're not affordable because he's been, not his fault, but he's coming off a deal where I think he made on his last fight $30 million. So nobody's going to pay him anything like that to fight one of those guys.
If Shakur Stevenson is successful against Robson Conceicao and Devin Haney wins his rematch with George Kambosos, are we likely to get Shakur versus Devin Haney in 2023?
We don't know. See, it's all these guys. All I can do is speak for the guys that I represent. Haney, Shakur, also Lomachenko, who's back on October 29th. They're all in the mix, and they all make great fights. So whoever fights the other first, it's up to them. And there are other fighters in the lightweight division that would make major matches, like Garcia and Tank Davis, if they were available. So I think the lightweight division is really loaded with talent.
Well, both guys have, kind of saying on Twitter that, December, they're just kind of giving hints that their fight will happen this year. Who really knows? But who do you see winning that fight between Tank and Ryan Garcia?
Between Tank and Ryan Garcia, I think the public would win because it'd be a good fight. But again, I don't see that fight happening. That's the truth. I just don't see it happening. But again, if the fight did happen, it's a good fight, and it's hard at this point to really pick the winner.
Why don't you see that fight happen?
Because each guy is valuable to his company, and it's very hard to get a company to take a risky fight unless the reward is really big. And I don't see the reward at this point being that big. And look at Floyd's career. Floyd was very content to take easier fights and build to a major fight where he made a lot of money. And that plan is, as I see it, what they're laying out for Tank Davis. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think that they would put Davis in at this point with Garcia because it's a fight that really they're not sure of winning.
But let's live in a fantasy world for a minute. Let's say it happens. They both make $100 million. Who do you got winning?
I like Garcia.
By stoppage, or you think he could just outbox him?
I think it's hard to say stop it. I think Garcia wins decisively. I think he has more talent, and he's the naturally bigger guy.